and welcome back to J.P.s World of Wrestling. I am your man J.P. And if you're watching this, I'm on vacation right now. Now, while I'm gone, I might shoot some footage and I might put it on here. Not that has anything to do with wrestling or anything, but just for fun, just for something different. But anyway, yeah, so the subject of today's video is Summerslam 1993. We've been talking about SummerSlams, and right today's no different. So we're talking about SummerSlam, and today we are starting with the Anthology Volume 2. Ooh. Yes. So 1993. It was definitely a transitional year for the WWF. Hulk's pretty much gone. He's pretty much out of here. And, he just lost the title to Yokozuna at the King of the Ring. And now Yokozuna's the champion. And they're trying to prop up Lex Luger. Lex Luger came into the WWF, earlier that year or the year prior, and they brought him in as the narcissist. But then they turned him babyface when he body slammed Yokozuna on the deck of the USS Intrepid in a 4th of July event where Yokozuna had challenged athletes from all across the country to come and try to body slam him, and nobody could do it. A couple guys came close, but Lex Luger shows up. And before that, Lex Luger was a bad guy managed by Bobby Heenan. He shows up, and Bobby Heenan kind of asks him what he's doing. He kind of shoves Heenan out of the way, goes into the ring, and body slams Yokozuna. So that built up a match for SummerSlam. I think the WWF were just kind of trying it out to see if Lex Luger could be the next big thing. Because I think they had thought about Bret. Bret had been the champion before. But Bret really was a different kind of champion. He wasn't as big as Hogan was. He wrestled in a different way. He had more of a realistic, scientific style. Whereas Hulk Hogan was more of like a big power, larger-than-life personality. So, so SummerSlam 93 happens. And it's an interesting about this particular event because for whatever reason, where I lived, this pay-per-view was on free. It was just on for free. We were flipping through the pay-per-view channels, and it was just on. My sister saw it, and she came around and got me and said, "Hey, SummerSlam's on." I'm like, "What?" She's like, "Yeah, for whatever reason, they're offering it for free." I'm like, "Huh." And then she's like, "I wonder if this is just a mistake, or I don't know." I'm like, "I don't know, but for now, let's watch it." So we put in a blank VCR tape, push record. Now, we missed the first match, which I believe was Razor Ramon and the $1 Million Man. But other than that, we got the whole event. And it was, it was kind of a fun event. There was no Hogan. Obviously, Hogan was on his way out. But WWF, they were trying something different. They were trying to, find the next big thing. And Vince thought that maybe Luger could be that next big thing because Luger he had the body, but he really wasn't all that good in the ring. And I guess they had problems with him personality-wise backstage, I guess. Because they did this thing where it was the Lex Express. It was this bus that traveled across the country. And I guess Lex didn't really want to stay on the bus the whole time. He wanted to go ahead to the next town and go to the hotel so he could work out and be in the gym and stuff because he wanted to keep his body fit. So the WWF had a hard time with that. They had a hard time with Lex. So that's probably why Lex didn't work out. Plus, the audience really weren't taken to him like the WWF had hoped. So, but we have a match at SummerSlam. That's the main event. But let's take a look at this card. I'm opening up the book. It's right here. So, like I said, Razor Ramon took on the $1 Million Man. But then we had a tag team title match. The Steiner Brothers versus the Heavenly Bodies. Now, the Steiner Brothers is one of my all-time favorite tag teams. I just love their style. If things got a little bit slow, in the match, you could always count on the Steiner brothers to pick things up by just throwing their opponents all around the ring at will. And I believe Steiner's won that match. So, Intercontinental title match, Shawn Michaels versus Mr. Perfect. Shawn Michaels had Big Daddy Cool Diesel with him in his corner. Diesel had just come into the company as Shawn Michaels' bodyguard. But at WrestleMania 9, Mr. Perfect and Shawn Michaels started this feud where Mr. Perfect was in a match against Narcissist and he lost because Narcissist used that souped up elbow and so knocked him out. So Mr. Perfect went backstage to confront Lex Luger, but instead Shawn Michaels got in his face and started attacking him and started fighting him. So that sets up Mr. Perfect challenging Shawn for the Intercontinental title. And I believe Shawn Michaels walked away, still the champion. And Diesel probably had a lot to do with that. Because at this point, Shawn Michaels is a bad guy. So obviously he's going to be up to shenanigans in order to win matches. Anyway, yeah, 1, 2, 3 kids there. So we got to talk about this rivalry. So at the first King of the Ring, Bret Hart won the King of the Ring tournament and was crowned the King of the Ring in 1993. But during his coronation ceremony, he was attacked by Jerry the King Lawler, who attacked him and said, "Bret Hart, I'm the only king in the World Wrestling Federation, and this whole thing is a scam because I'm the only king." So he attacks Bret, beats him up. So that starts this really heated rivalry with Bret Hart. So that sets up this match at SummerSlam for Jerry Lawler. And so, it gets like extremely heated. And to the point where, Lawler, calling all kinds of names to Bret. He's talking about Bret's family, talking about how Bret Hart's family sucks and his parents are old. And, so they have this match. Pretty good match. Bret pretty much dominates the match. And then at the end, Bret puts Lawler in the sharpshooter, but then he won't release the sharpshooter. So the referee eventually reverses the decision and initially awards the match to Jerry Lawler. So Jerry Lawler, being carried down on a stretcher, kind of raises his hand in victory, like, "Ha ha, Bret, I won the match." Which was an even more fuel to the fire for me personally as a fan. Man, I hated Lawler. Oh man, I hated that Jerry King Lawler. I really wanted Bret to I wanted Bret to kill him. Lawler was always really good at being a heel, at being that antagonistic guy that you wanted to throw an apple at. Have the apple kind of shatter on his head, or a cue ball, or a can of soda, or something hard that would burst. Anyway, just a funny cartoon image. Anyway, but yeah, that match was entertaining. Then they have this thing where Ludwig Borga went out on the streets and in the slums of this city and started bad-mouthing America, blah, blah, blah. Same stuff. Same old stuff. But then Ludwig Borga took on Marty Jannetty. And now I liked Marty Jannetty, and according to Marty Jannetty's peers, between him and Shawn Michaels, Marty was the one with all the talent. Marty Jannetty was the one that had most of the talent in the ring, but he was his own worst enemy because he got himself in trouble a lot. That's why he didn't last as long. Shawn Michaels, kept himself clean-ish and, didn't cause as much trouble as Marty. That's why Shawn Michaels made it and Marty Jannetty didn't. But in this particular event, Ludwig Borga, they're trying to prop him up as this giant heel. And so he beats Marty Jannetty at SummerSlam 1993, which is what we're talking about. So it works out. So then there was a rest in peace match. Now you can well imagine who that involves. It was The Undertaker versus Giant Gonzalez. Now The Undertaker Giant Gonzalez wrestled at WrestleMania 9. It was one of the worst matches ever. And even I can say that. And I'm really not that hard to please. You hear about these matches where people like Bruce Pritchard and Jim Cornette or people like that will say, "Oh, that was a terrible match." But I go back and watch the match. I'm like, okay, well, I thought it was pretty good. I didn't notice anything, but I'm not in the business. I'm not in the business of noticing these types of things. So anyway, obviously the Undertaker won. Giant Gonzalez turns on his manager Harvey Whippleman. 6-man tag match. Smoking Guns, Tatanka, Head Shrinkers, Bam Bam Bigelow. You know. But then there was the big main event. WWF Championship on the line. Yokozuna the champion versus Made in America, the Lex Express, Lex Luger. As he was known in WCW, the total package Lex Luger. And he really was kind of the total package. He had the body, But anyway, so Luger ended up winning that match, but by countout. He never won the title. The WWF never had really didn't have any intention of putting the title on him. So he won the match by countout, and after the match, all of his buddies came down and kind of propped him up on their shoulders. He used his bionic elbow. Well, it wasn't the bionic elbow like Dusty Rhodes' elbow, but it was an elbow because he had a surgically implanted metal piece in his elbow, his forearm right here, that he would knock guys out with. He did the same for Yokozuna. Hit him with it. Yoko fell out of the ring. Got counted out. Luger wins the match by countout. So that put him in a position where he's like, okay, well, obviously I can beat Luger, so you're going to have to give me another title shot. But that's not the way it would work out. He would initially get another title shot, but he would have to share that pedestal with Bret Hart, because the very next year, the Royal Rumble, that was the one where Bret and Luger went out at the same time. And so both guys got to wrestle Yokozuna at WrestleMania 10, but ultimately Bret would be the one that would win the title. But at this particular event, Luger won by countout. So, this was kind of the Stars and Stripes event. It was all about America, all about the red, white, and blue, because Luger was in the main event, and he was made in America, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, but SummerSlam 93 was pretty good, despite the fact that, there was no Hulk Hogan, and so they had to kind of rely on who they had. So I thought it turned out pretty good. Like I said, my family watched it for free. It was one of the rare times that we actually got to watch a pay-per-view when it was actually on. We didn't pay for it for whatever reason. The cable company, our local cable company, I think it was, messed up, because I don't think anybody else reported that they had the event for free. And so it was really just our local cable company that messed up, gave it away for free. Good for us, good for me and my family, because the thing is, my sister, she had a guest at our house at the time. And so that guest, I don't think she was, she was from our church, and I don't think she was really a wrestling fan, so she didn't really want to sit and watch SummerSlam with us, so that's why we recorded it. I watched it live. Me and my sister, I think, watched it later on tape. Anyway. But that is SummerSlam 1993. So what are your memories of SummerSlam 93? Leave in the comments below. If you're new here, feel free to like, subscribe, and I will see you next time.